you, I think of her because she's such a great actress.
Yeah.
She happens to be one of my favorite actresses.
Well, Susan Hayward was an incredible lady. Just so real, so natural, you know. What you see was what you got. So she was great. It was wonderful working with her in Demetrius and the Gladiators as the Mad Caligula.
As the Mad Caligula.
Yeah,
right.
fun.
The Robe was great. That must have been fun. Victor Mature. Tell me about Victor Mature then.
Well, I don't think Vic really ever cared that much about acting. You know, he used to.
Did?
No, no. I mean, he was. You know, Vic is still with us. Vic is. I think it's down in Rancho Mirage. I haven't seen him in many, many years, and plays golf, and you know, enjoys his life now. But I don't think he was ever that
into acting.
No, not really. I mean, he had an incredible career.
Yes.
Well, who knows? But he was a big star. But I don't think that, you know, the actor thing really ever meant that much to him. So when, you know, he retired, I don't think it bothered him that much.
You know, when I think of Jay Robinson, those days you were in the prison and for a lousy cigarette, getting back, a lousy little marijuana cigarette. And this is 1991, Charles.
Right.
I mean, it's silly what's happening to the world today.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
you know, it's you have regrets about that?
No,
Are you
no.
bitter?
Well, I have regrets that, you know, that I got into that scene briefly in the late 50s. It was all over. My whole drug thing was like 1957 to 1960, and then it was over. And I just put it aside, and that's 31 years ago.
Right.
So the punishment didn't fit the crime.
It didn't?
No, no. I mean, the prison sentence and losing the Hollywood career, and, you know, but that was then, and this is now, and it's unfortunate
So
that
you're not bitter? You're not bitter?
No, no bitterness at all. I mean, bitterness eats you up.
Right.
I mean, they took me off the screen for 10 years. Not the little drug thing, but the, you know, all the publicity and everything that followed the problems. And it was a very heavy price to pay. But I got through it, and am stronger and deeper as a result of what happened. And, you know, it's interesting, Skip, how if you allow it to, it was so enriching as an actor. I mean, one wouldn't choose to go through it again. But when I came back, I had much more depth.
Yes.
And the roles now have more solidity and depth to them. I mean, playing Caligula in The Robe and Demetrius and the Gladiators, wonderful. But now there's a different element to my work. And all that suffering, all that pain, all that agony, all that deprivation and poverty and being the pariah, the leper, the outcast in Hollywood for those years. And now I see people that, you know, I knew back then, some that are still alive.
Right.
And Jay Robinson, the survivor. So, and, you know, I say, not, you know, where were you when I needed you? I just say, yeah, I understand, because people are afraid. I mean, they're afraid it's going to rub off. And they, you know, if you're in trouble, I mean, that's when you know you're real friends. I mean, because after all, Skip, you know, it's easy to be a fair weather friend or a sunshine soldier, you know, when things are going great. And but whatever, we're out the other side of it long time ago, and things are going so beautifully again. And at age 60, I'm just looking forward to, you know, to the great stuff that's ahead.
I'm looking at you, and I'm saying, God, what a wonderful human being within yourself. You found yourself to become a great human being. I mean, with all the suffering that you had in Hollywood.
Well, I think
you forgive everybody. You forgive.
Oh, sure, sure. And I think too, you know, when The Comeback, my book, came out, so many people wrote to me from all over the world, and they said, we are so encouraged that you came through, and you came through stronger. People who, for the smallest of reasons, maybe were going to break up their marriage.
Right.
See, and my marriage has endured, now it will be 31 years on February 8th. People that, because their career has taken a slide, or they're in the pits at the moment, you know, are thinking of getting out of the business or committing suicide or whatever. Gee, you got through.
Yes.
And this has encouraged us. So maybe, you know, in a broader sense or a greater sense, this is the benefit for going through the hell. You know, because now I can pass on that we don't have to give up. We don't have to kill ourselves. We can survive, we can overcome, and we can be stronger on the other side.
You're very religious, aren't you? Spiritual within yourself.
Yeah,
and you have, go ahead.
Well, I just, I don't know. I think all of this really happens for a reason. And
maybe you're a stronger person, Jay.
Yeah, oh, definitely stronger.
Yeah.
Stronger.
What do you think of Hollywood today as 1991 Jay Robinson? You've been here, you know, what do you think of it today?
Well, it's a different Hollywood. It's the same in that, you know, Pauline, my wife, and I were at a party when the Mae West, the last Mae West film, Sextet, opened. And it was interesting because Army Archerd was outside interviewing me, and I stepped out of the big limo, and there, you know, put me on the platform and interviewed me, and I had a great role in that movie, Born Again, at that point.
Right.
And but anyway, everybody. But speaking of what we were a moment ago, everybody rushed up and said, "Oh, if we would have known where you were during the black years," as Betty Davis used to call them, or 10 black years. But we would have, of course, come to your rescue, and of course I said, well, of course you would have. But we went to the Mae West party afterward, I think, in the Century Plaza. Now I'm looking around the room with that long view, that eye of wisdom.
Right.
And I'm seeing the young kids who would do anything for the break.
Right.
Anything. And I'm looking at the stars that are presently there.
Right.
And they're very secure because everything's going great.
Right.
And I'm looking at the ones that are kind of over the hill, that sort of fear and desperation in their eyes. I saw the whole panoply of Hollywood, the whole spectrum of Hollywood laid out before me. But essentially it's the same town. And of course you don't have the studio protection now, but you know, and actors have a great deal more power and influence, but it's the same, really.
Jay Robinson, you lived as Caligula. You lived a few years. When you got that role, you said you walked in, you did Caligula, you got the role right away, you came to Hollywood, 21 years old.
Right. 22 years old.
22 years old.
Right.
My God, that's an outrageous role you did. You were an outrageous person. You lived in a house with no furniture, I understand.
Well, later when I had to sell it all.
You had to sell? Tell me about that. What do you mean by it? Tell me about you had to sell all your furniture and your big, beautiful home in Beverly Hills.
Oh, yeah. But those are the trappings of life. That's not the reality. That's not the truth of life. I mean, all the veneer. I mean, we become so caught up in things.
Yes.
You see. I mean, the attachment to things, our clothes, our furniture, our jewels, our cars.
Not important, is it?
When it's all stripped away, then you get down to the essence. Then you begin to really grow if you get through the fires, you know. But the second career was the interesting.
What is your second career? What is coming up?
It began in '68.
Right.
And then there was the first. There were, you know.
Shampoo?
No. The first thing was Star Trek. I mean, the first one that people. It's the that one. That
Star
one
Trek?
with William Shatner.
Ah.
Can you get that?
Can we get this?
Now that's what people will remember. That was an episode called Elan of Troyes. I was Lord Petrie, and that's been shown 1,000 times. And then the following year, let me see. Oh, here's one that people remember, Bewitched.
Bewitched. Let's see this.
This is Bewitched.
Let's see this. Ah,
Bewitched
there you
with Elizabeth Montgomery. I don't know the girl's name that played Cleopatra. This one was written for me because it was a sort of a takeoff on the Caligula thing. It's called Samantha's Caesar Salad. So that happened. And then
what happened? What is this now?
Let me see here. Oh, this is one that people will remember. I mean, I represent different things to different generations. And this is Dr. Shrinker, which was an enormous hit on Saturday morning on the ABC network during 76, 77, 78. And
then what happened to Jay Robinson? You did something with shampoo, though. Tell me about
shampoo
with Warren Beatty.
That's a fascinating story.
Tell me.
Well, I had given sometime around, I don't remember, late 50s probably, a fabulous party in Bel Air. Every star in Hollywood was there.
You threw parties, yes, I heard.
Oh, there were parties, yeah. No more. Live very quietly.
Spent a lot of money throwing those parties. Was it expensive, Jay? Throwing all that money?
Very expensive.
Really?
But there was a young
Why did you do that? Tell me, why?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you know, when I ceased to be the big fish in the big pond, I wanted to be the big fish in perhaps a slightly smaller pond,
Okay.
so that hence the parties.
So
Well, if that's an explanation.
Yeah.
What did Gene Eagle say? Never complain, never explain, say nothing and become a legend. But yeah, well, the young writer came up to me at one of these parties, Robert Towne, who wrote Chinatown and who wrote Shampoo.
Right.
And I spent a few minutes encouraging him to follow his star. He was a young unknown writer. And years later, Warren Beatty was doing Shampoo, and Bob Towne was the writer. And they called me over to the General Service Studios and said, you don't know why you're here, do you? And I said, no. He said, we have this wonderful role of Mr. Norman, Warren Beatty's boss in the movie. And he said, you were so kind to me at your home that night with every star in Hollywood there. You took 15 minutes to really deeply encourage me to pursue my star, what I wanted to do. I never forgot it, he said. So what goes around, you know, definitely does come around.
So there are nice things happening in Hollywood, though.
Yes,
there are. You don't have to go to bed with somebody to get some nice things.
No, I don't think that ever really works. A lot of people think it does when they, you know, every day a young boy or girl gets off a plane or a train or a bus, and, you know, after a while thinks maybe that's the way in. I don't think it is.
You don't?
I think it's, you know, it's what you can do. Oh, and Woody Allen.
Yeah, tell me about Woody Allen.
Well, Woody Allen called for me to do a wonderful role. This is another one people will remember. In Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex. But Were Afraid to Ask. And in the last scene of that quite funny movie that was done in '73, there was something called the ejaculation sequence. And I am the priest, this little figure all in black, who is dragged in because he has sabotaged the cerebral cortex.
This is on the VHS thing you brought me?
Yeah, that's right.
On the VHS.
Right.
We're going to show, can I show a clip from that? I think
sure.
I think that's the clip on the VHS we're going to show right now.
Okay.
It is called from Woody Allen's
Everything
movie.
You Always Wanted to Know About Sex, But Were Afraid to Ask.
Good.
Woody Allen's movie.
Let's see it.
Tied to a chair. He'd knocked him out. Is this true?
What if it is? Don't you think you should be ashamed of this? Sexual relations between unmarried people? To take an innocent woman and assault her in a brutal, sadistic, ungodlike manner is blasphemy!
Lock him up. Sabotage is over.
Blasphemy! It's blasphemy!
Enjoy doing those things.
Blasphemy.
Yeah. Tell me something. What's new and exciting in your life right now, Jay?
Right now? Well, something just happened yesterday, as a matter of fact. They called from Universal, and I will be playing an Amish bishop and the spiritual leader of the community in an episode of Murder, She Wrote, called Murder, Plain and Simple, and that will be airing probably next month. We started in a week.
Great.
And it's going to be very interesting because I've never met Angela Lansbury. Really admire her and look forward eagerly to working with her. We have lovely scenes together. Interesting because Peter Shaw, her husband all these years, was the man who discovered me and who got me my incredible contract at 20th Century Fox and suggested me for the role of Caligula in The Robe 38 years ago.
He's the one.
He's the one who gave me my career in Hollywood. And so here I am doing Murder, She Wrote with Angela Lansbury. The second one I've done, actually, but the other one I didn't work with Angela. Now this is another one. But playing an Amish bishop with the long hair, you know, and probably the Captain Ahab beard, you know, and the hat. And so different roles now. I would never have thought of casting me in this role.
You would?
No. But when the call came, I said to my agent, what's the role? And he said, it's Bishop Burkhart, a kind, compassionate, spiritual leader, gentleman, a kind man, a dear man. But again, totally the opposite of Caligula.
Great. You've done, years ago, you did a one-man show.
Yeah.
Let's get back. Years ago, Ken. You did a one-man show with all your characters. Is that correct? Tell me about that. You did Caligula. You did all of them. Matter of fact, you got an award. You got an award.
Yeah, a number of awards. It was called Echoes and Encores.
That's it.
And it was just a compilation of scenes from some of my films, some of my Broadway plays. We did several versions of Caligula, the Caligula from The Robe, the Caligula from Eugene O'Neill's play Lazarus Laughed, the Albert Camus Caligula, different versions of Caligula, and then various Shakespearean readings from some of the plays I'd done, and a whole sort of a potpourri of stage and film roles. Very interesting and wonderful that I had that to fall back on in the black years because it paid the rent. And you know what I would really like to do now?
What would you like to do? I'm looking at you, really.
Well, I would like to do a play. The last play I did was The Picture of Dorian Gray as Lord Henry Wotton, the mentor of Dorian, and off-Broadway about 25 years ago. And I don't know what the role would be now. I thought about No Man's Land or Home or maybe Edwin Drood or A Life in the Theater. But, you know, I'm kind of thinking about that it would be fun to either, as in the case of True, that Bobby Morse is doing now, you know.
A one-man.
A one-man, maybe telling the whole story and with clips. So I don't know how you would do this.
Tell the one-man story of Jay Robinson on stage. It would be wonderful.
Well, you know,
good idea.
Periodically they've talked about doing a film of my life. You know, the rise and fall of a Hollywood emperor and rise again. But Betty Davis once said to me many years ago, she said, you know, if somebody won, and Betty said this is the greatest role ever written for an actor. I mean, because you get to do it all. And so she said to me, but she said, I think if somebody won an Emmy or an Oscar for playing you, that would be pretty hard to handle. What you had to live through to actually, you know, play this on the screen. But I think if I could do, you know, talk about my life, but I don't know how this would happen. And of course, obviously, there would have to be a producer for this and somebody interested in doing it. I think that would be fun to do. And, but you know, I keep feeling that I want to go back to the theater and do a Broadway play again. It's been...
You were a young director.
No, not director, producer.
Producer. Yeah. How about producing? How about producing?
Oh, I don't know. You know, when I produced, you could do a Broadway play for $50,000. Now it's millions and millions of dollars, and I think that would be quite beyond my ability. But
does Jay Robinson sing and dance?
Well, I dance.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I can dance anymore.
And your one-man show, you know.
No, but I danced the Dracula drag. I played the Count in a movie called Train Ride to Hollywood, and I sang once in a movie called My Man Godfrey with June Allison and David Niven. A little song called Lovely and a duet with the Bloodhound.
Dracula. Let's get back to
This was the last film I did. And this is just a year and a half ago, sort of a low-budget film, kind of a fun role. I had done my year on the soap opera, Days of Our Lives.
John Byner's wife was in that with you. I know she was in that. John Byner's wife.
In which one?
In this
Transylvania Twist. Yeah, well, Transylvania Twist, I played the world's greatest authority on vampirism. And anyway, in this scene that I think you've got there, I'm the world's greatest authority on the black arts, and I am believed dead, and I'm in the coffin. Very funny role as this old man, and you'll see what happens.
Okay, let's see it.
The book of Arthur. You must find it. It alone has the power to summon forth the evil one. What am I doing here?
You're dead, Uncle Ephraim.
Like hell I am. Get me out of this goddamn thing. What stupid son of a bitch pronounced me dead?
I believe it was Dr. Malley.
That quack in this cheap jack place didn't even bother to embalm me. Help me! Help me! Help me!
Dear me. This was rather unexpected.
You can all go home. I'm not dead. Dexter, my boy, give me your arm. Get out of here, you miserable toadies. Phony bastards. Never saw one of them before in my life.
That is just wonderful. You see yourself today on film.
Yeah.
From Caligula to this.
Yeah, right.
How do you feel? What do you think? I mean, you were the mad emperor.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And then you see yourself as an
old man. Well, they had me all made up, you know, put the white death makeup on me, and you know, I said, "What kind of makeup
but
are you?"
That's great acting.
You know, and the hair a little thin on top, and the whole, you know, and I'm walking out like I'm on my last legs, but. Oh, it's strange. It's strange that I watched The Robe or Demetrius and the Gladiators over the holidays.
That was on just recent, again.
Oh, continually on the American Movie Classics channel, and the one...
How do you feel, Jay Robinson, when you said it repeats every year as you grow older? What does Jay Robinson think about this?
It's strange. It's strange. You know, actors have this curious... advantage. I guess it's an advantage, although if you wanted to get depressed, you could have, because none of us like to get older. But
I'm looking at you. I can still see
the sparkle.
I can that spark. Yes, yes.
But it's strange because I have on film a sort of a pictorial record of the aging process, and
Betty Davis.
Betty Davis.
Tell me,
oh God.
Jay, Betty Davis. You've known her. You've been with her. You spent time. She loved you. You loved her. You were very close.
Yeah, we were very close.
Tell me some moments with being with Betty Davis.
Well,
some moments that you treasure. Can you share it with us?
I got a little chill thinking about it. I was up the other day to Forest Lawn, to the, you know, the mausoleum or the crypt up there.
Right.
And there, on the left side, is Ruth Favor Davis, her mother, and the inscription of her birth and death date, not to get morbid, but a little faded now, because I believe she died in the 60s.
Right.
And then Barbara Barry Davis, her sister, that was, she died in, whenever it was, a few years ago.
Right.
And then in the center, always top billing, there it says in larger letters, Betty Davis, April 5th, I believe 1908, October 6th, 1989. And under it in quotes, she did it the hard way. And it was very strange. I mean, we all have to die, but to see her in there, because she was the most alive, vital, always in movement, and to think of her there, it's unreal to me. Really unreal. You know, it's just, but she will always be with us because she's with us in all those films that we see. We first met.
How did you first meet?
Well, it was during the filming of The Virgin Queen.
Right.
And I was Lord Chadwick, and she came on, and the beads break, if I can remember. I wish we had that clip here. We don't. And I'm there, she's there, and we just clicked right away. I mean, it was amazing, the rapport between us.
Yes.
And when the film ended, she went back east to her home in Maine, and you know, then there were the what she called the black years, the years that she was married to Gary Merrill, and the 10 black years. And I met her after the great glory days. It was 55. She had already done Margot Channing and All About Eve, and she had done Two's Company on Broadway. And so this was, in a sense, this was her first film after about 3 years.
What was her first, I mean, her very favorite film that she ever did? Did she ever tell you?
Well, I think her favorite role, probably Margot Channing. And she felt that, you know, I mean, this really made the career, because the Warner's days ended with the Beyond the Forest, I believe, was the last, about the last film there.
Did she ever talk to you about Baby Jane? Whatever happened to Baby Jane? Did she enjoy doing that with Crawford?
Well, of course, that was her most successful movie. She made the most money out of that movie.
Did she really?
That's what she told me, with the percentage that she and Joan
How did she got that role? Is by advertising in the Hollywood Citizen newspaper?
No, it was it was Reporter Variety. I don't know how that came about.
I thought it was a Hollywood Citizen newspaper. Go ahead. But she advertised for wanted actors.
You know, the thing that is not generally known about Betty, or she's not thought of in this way, was her extraordinary generosity as a human being. I mean, we think of her the brittle, you know, the on-screen roles.
Right.
But when my book was about to come out, and they sent her the galleys, I think I told you when we talked previously that she called and said, "How have you survived this?" And I said that, you know, from the Ultimate Survivor.
Yes.
She insisted on writing it and putting the foreword on the book. And then they used a line from the comments that she had made, a powerful inspirational book for all who fall by the wayside. She wrote it in her own handwriting,
I see.
and I'm sure contributed greatly to the sales on the book. And then when they did This Is Your Life, Betty Davis, when Ralph Edwards did the This Is Your Life.
You were there.
I was there. Olivia de Havilland was there. Paul Henry, Willie Wyler was there. Her sister.
You meant something in her life. You were very dear to her.
Yeah,
Jay
yeah. I'd
Robinson.
like to think that she wrote this incredible statement about me, saying I was one of the great actors of our time. Give him a break. Give him another great role again. Let's forget the past, she said.
Wonderful. How would you like to be remembered, Jay Robinson? How would you like to be remembered? Please, tell me.
I don't want to even think about that.
Really?
No, no, no.
How would you like to be remembered?
Well, I don't know how I would be remembered. I feel it's too early to think about that. It's just because I really feel the best is yet to come. I mean, I absolutely,
That's great.
Skippy Lowe.
That's great.
I absolutely.
You're ready.
I see myself going up there. I mean, this is crazy. You know, not crazy. It could happen. You know, the great role could come down the pike tomorrow.
Exactly.
And somebody, as is in the case of Donna Meach or whatever, say, "Hey, this would be great for him." And I can see myself up there, and I'm already writing the speech. You know, when I get my Oscar. So it's never give up. Never give up.
Woody Allen said the same thing. Someone asked him about how is his success. He says, "Just show up.
Just show up and hit your mark, sir."
Eventually, time will take its place.
If you keep standing at that table,
Yes.
and you never give up, and you know, or keep pulling the lever on the slot machine,
Right.
you know, eventually it's gonna come up a jackpot. So you know, along the way there are all the bread and butter roles, the roles you take to pay the rent, the roles you take to, you know, to keep going, and at times I've even had to, you know, do other jobs, not too many, but along the way, never give up. Never give up, and never really look back too much.
You don't, that's right.
And the trick is, I think more than anything else, my dear Skippy, is just never be defeated. Never be defeated. Even we take the losses, we skid our knees, we skid our elbows, we fall down. But if we're never defeated in life, then we can, you know, we can accomplish anything we can envision. And this is wonderful.
You seem like a wise man today.